everybody. This is Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, and welcome to a Twin Peaks Thought of the Day live. Today is July 21st, 2023. I'm actually live right now with Mr. Josh Eisenstadt.
Hello.
We are getting our Twin Peaks on here in Los Angeles, California. Kind of an impromptu visit.
Very impromptu, yes.
But
it's all working?
Basically, I crashed his house, knocked on his door. I told him Dick Laurent was dead, and here we are.
Yeah, if anybody does that, I automatically open the door. It's automatic. Somebody tells me Dick Laurent's dead, you know.
And manila envelopes are sort of the key thing you got to bring.
Yes, absolutely. Leave that on my doorstep, and yeah.
So we have been...
You get a prop. You get to see props.
We have been cruising around this area, looking at a lot of the California locations of Twin Peaks. We went to sort of the Alali Park, if you will, of this area, the Franklin Canyon Park. So we got to see, or I got to see for the first time, Glastonbury Grove, and for the first time in the actual location. Got to see where they had Wyndham Earle's cabin. Where James and Donna had their picnic, where Audrey and John Justice Wheeler had their picnic, where James and Donna had a disagreement, and he rode off into the sunset, if you will.
To Evelyn Marsh.
Yeah. Then we went to Owl Cave. That was really exciting. And they were doing some other filming up there. No, it wasn't season 4 or Wisteria. But they were doing some sort of filming up there, and so it was kind of hard to get some shots. But it was really cool to be in a cave that was used in Batman, the TV series,
yes.
But then later on for a lot of other things, including Twin Peaks.
Yeah, one entrance is the Bat Cave, the other entrance is Owl Cave. It's always interesting.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Josh showed me where the petroglyph was and all that, and that was really, really exciting stuff. Yeah, we just basically saw a bunch of just amazing things. And
the park from Las Vegas Park. Where
Janie
E.
Where Janie E. met the two guys to deal with the...
Yep, Jimmy and Tommy, the two thugs, and she deals with them.
Right. That was really cool. And in around that area, you showed me something really cool, which was something I never would have asked to have seen just because, I wouldn't even think about it. But there's this 8mm footage that we see in the show of the Great Northern being like broken ground.
Yes, and unfortunately to quote Chet Desmond, but I can't tell you about that.
Well,
that's my blue rose.
You at least pointed me in a certain direction,
yes.
And I was like, "Oh wow, isn't that kind of cool?" So
you have to leave the manila envelope and say Dick Laurent is dead for me to reveal that one.
All right,
exactly reveal it. Yeah, it takes everything.
Basically, Josh has been blowing my mind all day long, just showing me tons of awesome things, things that I cannot disclose. But trust me, awesomeness has been had here so far. But Josh was so kind to do this live video with me right now. We're going to show off just a few, and I mean a few, of his screen use props from the original series. We're going to talk about them. If you guys have any comments, questions, ask away, and we will address them. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you? I was going to say, I'll start by saying I started collecting these when I was a kid in the 90s. There weren't a lot of people, I guess, seeking them out, so I was able to get a hold of quite a few of them from different crew members and stuff like that. I verified that every one of these are the original screen-use props. And, yeah, I've built up a little bit of a collection over the years, and we'll show off a few of them.
Now, before we get to them, I just have to say, you have been so kind to show me... when he was a young man, he went to a lot of locations.
Yes.
Many locations that are no longer here. So he has shown me like home video footage of him at Wild at Heart locations, Blue Velvet locations. Many of these are no longer there.
Me as a child and teenager at these locations.
Right. And I guess I'll just put it out there that we're going to collaborate and try to do something with this footage, because I'm telling you, as huge David Lynch fans that we are, and we all are here, this footage, I think, demands to be seen at some point, don't you think?
I came across it again in 2020 during the pandemic, the tapes. I found it in my garage, the old 8mm tapes from, or high 8 tapes from the time, and they were labeled, Blue Velvet locations, Wild at Heart locations, and I thought, well, you know what, I remember doing this when I was a kid, and I had him transferred. I sent him away and had him transferred then, and I haven't even thought about it for a while. And then I was going through my computer and some old files and old drives, and I came across them again from 2020. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so we're not quite sure what we're going to do with them yet, but we have been kind of spitballing some ideas, and this stuff is awesome, guys. You're going to, seriously, I mean, I was just like, I know exactly where that is, what that is, what scene that is, and I was just like, oh my God, here it is from a different perspective 12 years later. And like for instance, you were in the Blue Velvet hardware shop, and it's no longer there.
No, I mean the building's there, but it's just the shop's gone.
But everything that was there was still intact.
Yeah.
From when they did shoot. So much so that Blue Velvet is playing on the radio when you're in the place.
And that's a true story. So when I was there, this is 97 or 98. I did 2 trips to Wilmington, and one of these trips, I go in, I'm asking them in there about Blue Velvet because it was, close enough that a lot of people that were there when they filmed were still there. A lot of people that were there when they filmed still were, in the town.
Right.
So I was talking to them about it, and I'm going to leave, and all of a sudden on the radio in the hardware store, Blue Velvet randomly comes on. Now, at first I thought they put it on because I was asking about Blue Velvet. Turns out, no. It just came on. I mean, you want to talk about, as Cooper would say, gentlemen, coincidence and fate figure largely in our lives.
Another one you showed me was inside the Beaumont house. And
yes.
I believe the lady you said was 96 years old at the time.
Yes.
She gracefully let you in.
Nicest woman. She was so nice.
And you have footage inside this house, and I'm going to say it's identical. It's almost like David Lynch did no art direction in this place.
He loved it how it was. She talked about how much he loved her lamps that she had there. And he just loved how she had the house and pretty much kept it as is.
Like, we're talking the kitchen, the drapes. Everything is like, she didn't change anything in 12
when
years.
I walked in there, I was walking into the Beaumont house, and it was amazing. And she was a nice woman. She was making cocoa because it was a really cold day, I remember. And she said, please come back and visit while you're still here. So I think I went back to the Beaumont house maybe 2-3 times on that trip. She wouldn't let me go upstairs to Jeffrey's bedroom, though. She said, it's a mess. I don't want you to see it. I said, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine, but,
Another one you showed me, which I couldn't believe, was the Big Tuna Texas Motel.
Yes, the Iguana Motel.
And that's no longer here.
That's no longer here.
Yeah.
That was torn down.
We've been racking our brains as to why, as far as we're aware of, only like 2 or 3 shots were actually filmed in Texas, and the rest of it was filmed in California.
Yeah, in the finished film, now there might be more deleted scenes that we don't know about, or some of the deleted scenes that are in the, because I didn't find every deleted scene that's on the lime green box set of Wilder Heart. I know where most of them are, but there's a few new ones that I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
But all the ones in the film, I know where they are, and in the film itself, there's 2 scenes that were actually shot in Texas. Now, there might be more that are in the deleted scenes, but in the actual film...
So the majority of Big Tuna, Texas was in California?
Yes.
All right, so let's get to a few of these props. What do you got first up that's going to just blow everybody's mind?
Now, I'm going to show... This is a sampling of them. People that know me, and I'm sure a lot of people here know me, and probably a lot of people that know me have been over here and have seen this in person, so this is probably old too, but...
I think the majority of the people watching this channel have never been inside your house.
Okay. They're not here right now?
No.
They're not going to ask me to call them and say, I told you I was here?
I don't... If
If
Robert Blake is inside your house, we got more to worry about.
Yeah, we have a lot to worry about. Okay.
Yeah, let's start with that one first.
This one?
Yeah.
So, anybody remember the Season 2, Episode 8, the Season 2 premiere? Double R Diner. Donna comes in. Her hair has grown quite a bit overnight.
Yeah.
And Maddie's sitting in a booth and is wearing a certain pair of glasses, not her regular glasses. And she hands the glasses to Donna and said, here's Laura's glasses that you wanted.
And there it is.
These are also, so these glasses appear in episode 8, and they also appear in episode 16. Donna's also wearing them when she goes to visit James in the jail cell in 8.
Right.
In 16, she's wearing them when she goes to Leland's, when Leland almost kills her when he's dancing with her. And Leland looks at these glasses and says, wait, those glasses. And she says, they were Laura's. Maddie gave them to me.
So these were worn by Cheryl Lee playing 2 different characters, and Lara Flynn Boyle.
Well, they were worn by Cheryl Lee as Maddie, but within the context, they were Laura's, yes.
Right.
And they were worn by Laura Flynn Boyle a lot.
Right. Cool. What's the type of glasses they are? Somewhere.
You know, there's no brand on it. I've never been able to. I've looked. I've always.
Are they
wondered where
real
came from.
sunglasses, or are they just prop sunglasses?
I believe they may be prop sunglasses, but they are shaded. It's dusty right now, so I'm not going to put them on.
Do they come with a Diet Coke? That's what I want to know.
These? I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But
there you go.
there you go.
Awesome. Maddie, and so you could put these on and let Ray Wise kill you.
Yeah, you know, don't wear these in front of Ray Wise.
Yeah. All right, what you got next? Oh, you want to go with that one next? All right.
No, let's go here maybe, since we're on Laura Palmer. Well, that other one's Laura Palmer too, but...
It's all Laura Palmer here. It's all about Laura.
Yes.
Beautiful. Look at that.
So this probably doesn't need too much explanation. Episode 2, Leland is dancing with this picture. Shatters. Now, everybody knows the story, I'm sure, about Grace Zabriskie cutting her hand in the scene. And when she does that, then, you know, Leland smears the blood over, right? So Grace actually... Now, the reason...
Turn around so they can't see.
The reason the blood is red here is because on the next take, they smeared prop blood over it because David Lynch liked the look of it so much. So you'll notice there's some dried brownish blood, which is Grace Zabriskie's.
DNA test time.
DNA test time, yes. We can DNA test that and it'll come back Grace's. Now, this was thrown out. I don't want to mention names, but the crew member, I got this from a crew member, who when they were done filming, they threw, because they didn't think they were going to need it again, they threw the picture. It's a different frame, obviously. The picture was thrown in the trash, and this one crew member removed it from the trash, and that's who I ended up getting it from. So this was in a trash can outside the soundstage, but... Now
So you weren't trash hopping in 1990 when they were...
Oh, I was a little bit too little. I don't know how... I don't think I could have ridden my bike all the way over there to do that.
Right.
Not to mention the fact that this was actually shot in '89 before Twin Peaks even aired, so I wouldn't have even known what Twin Peaks was.
And what's crazy is that Cheryl Lee in this picture, if you look at her mouth, she looks like she's coming out of John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah, a little bit early.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was actually shot in December of '89, the scene, because it was episode 2, which was shot at the end of the shooting schedule for season 1, because David Lynch was shooting Wild at Heart during the rest of it.
Oh, so let's just break that rumor that's been... So everyone, a lot of people, a lot of... I've seen for years people making the insane assumption that he left season 2 to go make Wild at Heart, and it's like, no, he shot the pilot, then made Wild at Heart, then came back and shot episode 2 after they had already shot the rest of the season 1? Or was that was the last episode that was shot, was episode 2?
Yes. Yeah, that kind of was, a lot of that was kind of concurrent with 7, but yes.
Right.
That was shot at the end of the shooting schedule. That was shot around December of '89.
There you go.
Yeah, so this was shot, when all of season 1 was shot, nothing had aired yet.
Right.
So that's why this, was probably just thrown in the trash, because nobody would have been doing that, because nobody knew what they were doing or what it was or anything.
Right, and in fact, it was airing when Lynch won the Palme d'Or.
Yes.
Season 1.
Yeah.
Right.
And if everybody remembers who was around at that time, Wild at Heart was released in that summer between season 1 and 2.
August 19th, 1990.
Yep. So, obviously it couldn't have been filmed during season 2, considering it was released before that.
Oh, so the people commenting like, oh my goodness, oh, don't forget Industrial Symphony. We haven't forgotten about it.
Oh, no.
People are saying this is really cool, it's really awesome. You haven't seen anything yet, folks. Let's do the next one. And I haven't even seen all the stuff Josh has. I actually made him stop bringing me things, because I was like, we're going to be doing this show for hours and hours and hours if you show me everything. So we only pulled out about 5 or 6 things, guys, but trust me, they're all awesome so far. Oh my goodness, here it comes.
This probably isn't going to need a lot of explanation, a little bit, because...
Oh, no, there you go. So this is the heart necklace.
Now, this is one of 3 that were used in the series.
You'll know which one it was.
Now, I don't know how many scenes this particular one was used in. I know it was one of 3. I know that for a fact. Now,
hold it up a little higher.
If you see, so I don't know how many scenes this was used in. Now, I know there's one on a rope and one on a chain. I'm assuming that most of the time we see it on the chain, it's probably this one.
Right.
One scene I can tell you it was for sure is the one in episode 1, where the flashback with Laura and James, where Laura breaks it in half.
Right. And how do you know that?
Because if you look at the back, it's very hard to get this on there, you will see that it's been glued together. So clearly it was glued together so Laura could snap it.
Hold one side and I'll hold the other. So, let's hold it up a little higher. You can actually see some glue that held it together.
So when she'd break it in half, they'd have the glue and then she could go.
Right. Super cool.
Now, I'm assuming it was a different one for Fire Walk with Me. I've gotten that question before.
Well, because
I know this was the series.
right.
I do have some Fire Walk with Me props, but this one is from the series.
All right, well, don't spoil all of us right now with everything.
Oh, I won't.
Yeah, let's get out this stuff. Oh, this stuff's some of my favorite stuff here.
Okay, let's start here. Now, this is, a lot of people be surprised about this. Now, in Twin Peaks, we only actually see one Bookhouse Boy patch. There's only one that's actually shown. Now, a lot of people just assume, because they obviously probably within the context all had them, the only one we see is the one that Truman gives to Cooper
Right.
in episode 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's holding it again, remember when he's sitting on the bed in 19 in his room?
Right.
Well, this
That's
is
it.
This is Cooper's Bookhouse Boy patch. Parting gift. I do not have the green butt skunk, unfortunately. That he also gets. That
Well, you're just not a real Twin Peaks fan.
I know. What can I say?
All right.
I'm sorry.
Hold it up.
I just realized my phony Twin Peaks fan-ish, you know.
Yeah.
But there it is. That is Cooper's Bookhouse Boy patch, and if you look, this is interesting because this was noted from one of the prop people.
Let me take this one.
On the back of the case that I got it in, they wrote "Always D. Cooper," because I guess if it had gone on to season 3 and they were going to have more of them, they wanted to know this was Cooper's. You see, there's this "Always D. Cooper."
And all right, let me show you this because this is really cool. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen the little unicorns that Emery Battis has given.
Oh, the props! I don't have one of those.
Yeah,
I don't have that prop.
I've never seen a screen use One-Eye Jack's chip.
Now, I was told by the crew member I got this from that this is the one that fell out of Ben Horn's pants that Catherine got
Oh, while he was washing Little Elvis.
while he was washing Little Elvis, that he then gets slapped repeatedly over.
You're right. Oh, I love this so much.
So that is Ben Horn's $1,000 poker chip from One-Eye Jack's. Not the one with the J missing. I don't have that one.
You're gonna make me make Queen of Hearts 2, you know that, by showing me all this stuff. Is that the
You never know.
Is that the attempt here? All right. So this is cool. One-Eye Jack's. And then I think you got one more, right?
Yes.
And then throw out any comments, questions, guys, and because we only have one more. There's a lot more here, but I haven't seen it all, so I can't really vouch for it. But oh
Okay.
boy.
Now, let me
Oh,
ask
boy.
you this.
All right.
Okay, I'm just going to do the line that goes with one of the scenes this prop is in. Do you recognize this man? Is this the man that hurt you?
And show them like what scene it was from, though.
So this is used in episode 4, with the eyes were a bit closer together, and then again in episode 9 with Cooper and Ronette Pulaski when she knocks it out of his hand. So, which I'm not going to obviously repeat that with a prop, but
No, but she did knock this particular prop,
yes,
right? She
Yes.
knocked it out of Cooper's
you
hand.
could. Yeah, exactly.
And you say that in the episode you can actually see the creases.
Yeah, there's the side. See the crease down the middle here, and the ones on the side. See the crease down Bob's face. This
Right.
one going up and down, and
Right.
the vertical and the horizontal creases.
This is amazing. This is real. Like, this isn't like some Xerox thing. This is
No.
a real picture.
It's not the one from the extended version of the pilot. That was a different one. You notice that one's a little bit smaller, and it's slightly different.
Right.
And maybe the eyes were a bit closer together on that one.
Ooh, can we talk about that real quick? Because about the episode 4 Harley Payton script where he.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So in episode 3, sorry, I say episode 4 because I'm thinking back.
Yeah, I do that too. I get confused too because when it was airing, I was calling the pilot one, and yeah.
Exactly. So apologies. Episode 3, first episode that Harley Payton wrote. It's the one where Cooper summons Truman and Lucy
Yep.
over to breakfast, and he's going to tell them about the dream he had and who killed Laura Palmer, right?
Yeah.
And he tells them this.
He shows up 15 minutes late, by the way, if you look at the time he said to be there before. But
Oh, okay.
that's
Anyway,
not the point. Yeah.
Well, Cooper's, he had a rough night.
Yeah. Rough dreams.
But he tells them, if you actually pay attention, which a lot of people don't, because I've shown this series to numerous people and nobody has caught this. I don't know
It's always
why.
surprising to me because it was so obvious.
It's so obvious, but nobody seems to catch this. I'm sure you guys do, but like people I know in my life never have. And
Yeah, same here.
he tells Truman and Lucy not what we saw in the dream, but he tells them the international pilot's ending.
Yeah.
Now, the reason for that, we were talking, is that they shot all the episodes first after, because Lynch was making Wild at Heart, right?
Correct.
And then Lynch came back to do episode 2.
Correct.
So, but at that point, the original idea, this is what you were telling me,
Correct,
right?
yes.
The original idea was that the end of episode 2 was going to be
The European ending.
the entire European ending.
whole thing.
And to the point where when Laura's talking to him in his ear, that's probably when he would wake up and
Exactly.
we would realize it was a dream and it was kind of maybe be a little trick, right?
Potentially, yeah. It was going to be that entire European ending from Sarah Palmer having her vision
Right.
of Bob behind the bed. All of that was going to be. So that's why when Cooper repeats it in episode 3, he says, in my dream, Sarah Palmer had the vision of her daughter's killer. Deputy Hawk sketched this picture. I got a phone call from one man named Mike. The killer's name was Bob.
Right.
Mike and Bobby. Different Mike, different Bob.
Right.
They lived above a convenience store. They had a tattoo. Fire. Walk with me.
Right.
Mike couldn't stand the killings anymore, so he cut off his arm. Bob vowed to kill again, so Mike shot him. That's a synopsis. That's what he says, and that's a synopsis of the European.
You just said that word for word. You know that, right?
I know.
Okay.
I know. I have a weird memory when it comes to David Lynch stuff.
Well, that being said, they could not air the additional 18 minutes in episode 2.
Right.
So they condensed it. They made it what it is. I think it's fantastic the way it is, but it is not what Cooper tells Harry and
Correct.
Lucy.
And the reason is that was done and edited before David Lynch came to do the episode 2. So when that was cut, the other thing that had already been done because episode 3 was done way before 2.
Right. And what's really kind of, you would think that's insane, but it's actually like it works out fine because nobody notices anyway.
Yeah, and also you could also explain it as this. I'm sure everybody's had this experience. You have a dream, and you might remember it one way when you wake up, and then the next morning when you're telling it, it's slightly different.
Oh, it's slightly different, all right.
So you can explain it away that way within the continuity of the show itself. I don't know, saying Harry, Lucy, you were there, Harry, so were you. That,
Right.
he remembered them there, I guess. He likes to remember things his own way. Cooper.
He definitely does. So if you have any comments or questions, get them out now. Come on, you got us both live right here. We'll probably be on for just a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
ask us whatever. Red curtains in the background. Well, I figured it was the.
Yeah. Well, you just said we were at Glastonbury Grove today, so you
Yeah.
never know when they appear. This might not be me.
That was a real trip for me, because I've only been on my Glastonbury Grove that I did for my film.
Right.
I'd never been to the real one. I have been to most of the locations in Washington area, and just got back from Montana, which I think I'm going to be doing a video about. That's kind of an untapped area for Twin Peaks fans,
Yeah.
I think.
And multiple references to different towns in Montana,
At
including
least-
where you Kalispell.
At least 4.
Yeah.
Missoula,
Butte.
Butte,
Yep.
Hungry Horse,
Yep.
and Kalispell.
Yep. Kalispell is where the 2 retired female school teachers that live next to the Palmers now live, where Hawk visited them.
Where the school, the two school teachers.
Yeah, 2 school teachers.
Right.
Correct. And that's when Truman says, I thought I lost you at the Kalispell Woods. And before that, in episode 11, Truman's telling Cooper he got a location on the other residence, and he says Kalispell.
Right. This is so bizarre, guys, because I went hiking in the woods, which is something you shouldn't do, but I was there, and they have a whole ode to the Salish Native Americans there, and
Well,
then
that's
in the
pretty
gift shop they have all these books not only about the Salish Native Americans, but Lewis and Clark. All this is in
Yeah.
Glacier National Park, which is that road that you see at the beginning of The Shining, right?
Yeah.
But which has connections. Kubrick and Lynch have connections.
Major,
so
yeah.
much so that the Timberline Lodge, right, which is used in the movie of The Shining in terms of the exteriors. Kubrick shot the interiors on sound stages, but
Yeah.
the exterior. There is a room, and this blew Josh's mind.
Yeah, I couldn't believe this one.
There is a room at the Timberline Lodge that is, I think, the exact replica of Dale Cooper's room at the Great Northern. Down to
It's pretty amazing.
it's the room. If you
Yeah.
ever want to stay at Dale Cooper's actual room in the Great Northern Hotel, go to the Timberline Lodge. It's there.
Just don't brush your teeth in the bathroom if you rent that room. If I rented that room, I don't know if I'd want to brush my teeth in the bathroom before bed because especially after visiting.
But what if you woke up and Piper Laurie and Michael J. Anderson were all there? You saying
Auntie M.
MTM, yeah. Anyway, so I'll probably be doing a thing about Montana because I couldn't
talking
believe.
about the dream I had. We were all on Saturdays. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, somebody said it's good to know all of these props ended up in the right hands.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that glad that you see it that way. Thank you. I take good care of them. I promise.
But I had never been to the California locations. I don't know why. I've been to the house used in the Wonder Years, but I've never been to but I've never been to any of the locations. I think primarily, like I've been to the Halloween houses and the Nightmare,
Yep.
all this kind of stuff, Nightmare on Elm Street houses. But I think because Twin Peaks was so, there are concentrated areas, but then there's other parts that are so spread out.
Yeah, it's very spread out, especially now with season 3. They're all over the place. I mean,
Right.
one into the city to the other, and sometimes there's like one isolated over here and another one isolated over there, and then there's certain like clusters where a lot of them are.
Right. But strictly speaking, seasons 1 and 2 are still kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And so
Season 3 even more so.
Right. So I was kind of, I was just kind of like, well, I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be too overwhelming. And then I was thinking, oh, I would love to see some of this stuff. And Josh was like, well, I know where some of this stuff is. I said, all right, let's go. So made the drive down this morning, and here we are.
Yeah.
Cruising around. And so
First time I met you in person.
It's true.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't hate me after spending a whole day with me. But okay.
No.
The what was I saying? People are.
What was I saying? I just recently had a lot of eye surgery, so I can't see what people are saying. But...
Oh, they're saying nice things.
Oh, that's good.
They're talking about warm milk and keeps you awake like coffee, and sometimes I guess.
Well, that milk will cool down on you pretty soon.
That's true. That's true. But anyway, I've never been to Glastonbury Grove, and I know it's something that a lot of people have gone to. I've never been, so it was a total trip. I gotta say though, I loved it, except for the flies.
Oh yeah.
There were so many flies buzzing around in my ear, in my eyes.
They love that area. I mean, it's because of the water that's there. You know what I mean?
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like swatting away.
It's usually that way.
It's really.
Well, especially during this time of year.
Right. So one of the things that you were showing me too, that was really cool, is like where I got pictures of all this stuff too. It's like where Wyndham pulled up in the truck with Annie, and then they would like walk one way, and then they would go the other way towards Glastonbury Grove.
Yep.
So same thing with like Owl Cave, right? There was just the way things were positioned.
Yeah.
It was like they either used every inch of the location.
Yes.
Or they made them backtrack and go up around.
Yeah.
Like for instance, something that was really cool that you showed me was the scene where Donna and James have their picnic, right?
In episode 23, yeah.
Right. It is the same location, about even 5 feet apart, where Major Briggs and Cooper are having their campsite when Major Briggs disappears.
Yep. You just go down the other way.
And in fact, the tree that you see behind Donna and James when they kiss in that scene is the same tree that Cooper is peeing on.
Yes.
In the show.
Correct.
I wonder if that was intentional. But then the Doug Push shows up, and then Cooper's running, but he like runs past their campsite and down a little bit, and it's like it all happens within 15 feet of this whole situation.
That's why Cameron was saying it's the Olali of LA, and it kind of is. And I don't know if
maybe some people don't know what I'm talking about. Olali. Do you want to tell them what Olali is?
Yeah, I was going to say before that, if anybody who's been to Twin Peaks festivals, you've probably been on my tours before. Or anybody did any of the get-togethers that I used to do back in LA, back in, I don't know, 2015, 2016, 2017, those years. You probably know this, but what I like to do a lot of times on these tours is, well, obviously not when I'm taking one person or two people, but a lot of times what I like to do is, rather than just say this is where this person was standing, this is where that person was standing, to kind of do like reenactments, and who wants to be this character, who wants to be that character, and it kind of helps everybody see where everything was. I couldn't do that so much, when I'm showing one person, but if anybody's been to a festival, you probably remember all of this. Where am I going with this? Sorry, it's been a long day.
It's all right. I was hoping that if you ever like did the scene of James kissing Evelyn on her car, I could be the bouncy camera going down the road.
Yeah, no, but that scene has never been done that way. But yeah, I actually live very close to Evelyn. Evelyn Marsh's house is the closest location to where I live. That's the truth.
But you can't see it from the road.
No, you can't see it from the road. There's a gate.
Do you have a favorite location in Southern California.
From Twin Peaks specifically, or
Yeah.
any David Lynch film?
Okay, let's start Twin Peaks and then David Lynch.
Could it be that's still there, or that's
Anything.
anything? I loved Dead Dog Farm when it was still there. It's torn down.
Mm.
That was one of my favorites. I used to go there in the 90s, when I was a kid and a teenager, because I could, I guess, do this. And a friend of mine, it was an abandoned house in real life. It was all boarded up by the time I found it in the mid to late 90s. And a friend of mine said, wait a minute, this door is easy to open. This friend of mine opened the door, and because it was an abandoned house, we're like, okay, what the hell? I wouldn't do this as an adult, but as a kid, it's like, okay. And
Well, this isn't the only time, because you showed me footage tonight of you inside the Lost Highway house, the party house.
yeah, that's different because the guy let me inside.
Right. But you also said, this is really funny, that you said, come back tomorrow and come in.
Yeah, he said, come back tomorrow, I'll leave the door open, which was... And this is, of course, the 90s. This is pre 9/11, pre a lot of,
Right.
different era.
But
And
he's leaving the door open
but
for
I'm
Josh.
he's seeing. I mean, I'm a kid, so I looked a lot more innocent than I look now, I guess. I would never attempt something like that now, but back then,
Steven wants to know, Club Silencio. You were telling me that's now an Apple store.
Yes, Club Silencio is also the Firemen's from
Right.
season 3,
Right.
aka the White Lodge Firemen's,
Right.
and
AKA Apple Store.
aka Apple Store. The White Lodge is an Apple Store now. So they still, I haven't been in it since it's been an Apple Store. I was in it before it was. From what I've seen, they've maintained some of it, but they made it all kind of look white and sterile like Apple stores do.
Right.
But, the balcony's still there where the blue-haired woman said Silencio. However, I don't know. I couldn't tell from the pictures. I need to go back to an Apple Store and check it out, because there was the balcony area where, Betty and Rita sit.
Mm-hmm.
And behind that, there was the stairs going up to a little projection area. That was the motel, or where the nice hotel downtown, as the cowboy calls it, where Adam Kesher was staying, was up there. I don't know if that's still there. And there was another location, too, in the lobby from Mulholland Drive. I won't get into that. I'll keep that one.
I'm gonna ask this on the down low. May I ask you about the picture when you were on the set of a certain movie? May I ask you just one question about a picture?
You can ask. I can't promise I can answer.
Okay. Well, were you or were you not?
I was on the set of a David Lynch film, yes.
Yes, I know. May I ask you a question about one picture that?
I can say what it was. A lot of people know this. Mulholland Drive.
Right. So my question is, I have to say that you showed me the coolest picture in the world today.
You can say what it is.
Okay. He showed me a picture of him as a young man. He was a teenager still?
No. I was in college.
Okay.
Well,
Show me a picture of
20,
himself
I think.
on the set of Mulholland Drive when it was being shot for ABC, correct?
Because I remember going to college and I couldn't pay attention in class. I was going to UCLA
You
at the time. I could not pay attention.
you are sandwiched between Naomi Watts and Justin Theroux in wardrobe
Yes.
at the 1950s sequence, right when they're all singing.
Well, actually, that picture was at lunch. It was the soundstage next door. But I have also a picture with all the people from the 16 Reasons, the
Right.
dancers, and in front of that set.
You have pictures.
And Naomi Watts in wardrobe, yes, as Betty, and with her wardrobe there, and Adam Kesher. In his
Laura
wardrobe.
Lena Haring. You have a picture with a young woman who would go on to play Shane's wife in the Shield.
Yes.
And then I didn't know this. I didn't know that Miss Julia Dreyfus was in Mulholland Drive, but cut
Julie
out.
Dreyfus, yes. Yeah.
So Sophie Fatale from Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards
Yes.
was in Mulholland Drive as who?
She was Mr. Roke's secretary in a scene that got cut out.
Right. And here he is in a picture with her right around the time she's about to.
Her and Melissa George is the blonde Camila Rose.
Melissa George would go on to do Alias season 3, and Julia Dreyfus, I keep calling her Sophie Fatale. She, this was years before she did Kill Bill.
Yes. Yeah, this was, about 4 or 5 years before she did Kill Bill.
Right.
And I remember when I saw Kill Bill, I was like, whoa, You know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember her. She's in.
They wanted to ask, was David Lynch meditating on set at that time?
David Lynch would meditate at the lunch breaks, and I remember I remember they would say that because I remember the first lunch break, I went over to where they were eating, because I was allowed there for 2 days. I was there, and I went over to the lunch area. They eating lunch on the soundstage next to. They were shooting on stage 5, which interestingly enough was the same soundstage where Hitchcock shot Vertigo. So it was the stage next to. That's what I was told. It was the stage next to that. I think it was stage 4. That's where we were having lunch, and it just was an empty soundstage. And I remember I went in there and I thought, I can't. I'm more of a visitor. I can't really eat that. I remember Naomi Watts was there, and she said, have some food. Come on.
Right.
I said, okay, well, that's an invitation. I got to have some now. And then I went to sit down, and there was a plate of food next to me. I didn't know who was sitting next to me. And I'd just been watching them film the, Camila Rhodes doing the I've Told Every Little Star. That's what I was watching them film.
What a great scene.
It was amazing, yeah. And I remember David Lynch saying, okay, Adam, look, watch Betty run out. Now look at her. Watch her leave.
Right.
Yeah, and she's like Cinderella running away.
So there's one question I got to ask you about your time on that set.
But the plate next to me, though, it ended up being Melissa George. And I didn't know until she came back. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know I was going to be sitting next to her.
So here's something really cool. I think you may have mentioned this before, so I feel like I can mention it. When you were on the set of Mulholland Drive, in between takes, sometimes David Lynch would call you over and have some Twin Peaks trivia with you.
Only 1 point.
But still, that's wild. This is 8 years after Fire Walk with Me, right? And he's asking you Twin Peaks questions. What was one of the questions he asked you?
Okay, so what happened was, they were filming Mr. Rourke, because I was there on the soundstage stuff. And they had a few different sets. One of them was Mr. Rourke's office.
Mr. Rourke is Michael J. Anderson's character.
Yes. Yeah. And so they're filming the Mr. Rourke scene. Well, and there's kind of like a break. I don't remember why. There was something with Julie Dreyfus, because the reason I got to go 2 days was because they had to refilm. They didn't get to finish filming that scene and there was something with Julie Dreyfus' schedule coming back the next day, because I think they wanted to do one continuous shot.
Right.
So it was just kind of a silent moment, and it was just a few people. I remember Peter Deming was in the room in that set. Obviously, the actor whose name was Joseph Carney, who played Mr. Rourke's servant, who was standing behind him.
Right.
Mr. Rourke, obviously, and I think Jack Fisk was in the room. And it was like really late. It was near the end of the night. And
let me just pause you real quick. You said to me that unlike maybe other things where David Lynch was like, on a tight schedule, Mulholland Drive, while on a schedule, was shot even as an ABC TV pilot, was being conceived and shot not as a movie, but in the style of a movie where
completely.
Where they were taking their time with the shots.
Meticulously.
Right.
Like the first day, because everybody knows, I can say this because Mike had a very public breakdown. Michael J. Anderson, I wouldn't say that normally, but everybody knows that. He did it very publicly. Back in the 90s, I was friends with him, and he was not like that. He became like that later. I saw it start to happen 2000, 2001, 2002. And then he wasn't. I stopped being friends with him around that time because it got too like what everybody saw many years later. But before that, he wasn't like that at all, and he was, really. He used to go to all the Twin Peaks festivals. All the fans loved him, and it's a really sad thing what happened with him.
Can you talk about how they did Mr. Rourke?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say that too. But actually, I don't know if I should.
Okay, never mind.
But
you can figure it out
because David Lynch with how things are done. I'm just gonna err on the side of caution.
No problem.
But
you can figure it out, though.
Yeah, it could be figured out. But what I was going to say was, so that's how I got there. Mike was going to be in the Mr. Rourke thing, wasn't able to really be mobile. So he said, I want to get you on. I think I can get you onto the set because I need somebody to help me. And sure enough, he walked in and told David Lynch, and I remember David Lynch. I'd met him several times before that, but when he saw me and he said, "This is Josh. He's going to be helping me out." I remember David Lynch put his hand and said, "I know Josh," to shake my hand. I was like, I just got invited.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and, it was, 2 of the best days of my life. And so, anyways, the story I was telling, so they couldn't finish Mike's scene because they spent so much time doing the I've Told Every Little Star scene went really long. So when they got to Mr. Rourke's office, they didn't quite finish, and they asked Mike, can you come back tomorrow? And they asked Julie Dreyfus, can you come back tomorrow? That's how that happened. And when I heard that, I'm like, yes, 2 days. And, Laura Herring wasn't there the first day. She was there the second. Ann Miller, I wasn't there during any of her scenes, but I was there for a lot of the stuff shot in Aunt Ruth's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them filming That's Where I Was Going, Mulholland Drive.
I thought you were only there for 2 days.
I was. They filmed that too.
Oh, wow.
On the second day. The first day was almost all... the first day was all the I've Told Every Little... That whole scene, because that's a big scene.
Right.
The 16 Reasons, I've Told Every Little... That whole scene.
And why were you there for that scene?
That because they were going to film Mike's scene after that. And
okay.
And they started it, but then it needed to go
Right.
the next day.
Right.
And so I got to come back another day. And then they started that day with a lot of the stuff in the apartment, and then they got to Mr. Rook later.
I remember seeing that scene in the theater, the I Told You Every Star, and I remember being in the theater watching it going, this is the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew it. And I didn't know at the time that it was shot as an ABC TV movie.
Yeah, and my reaction, I had a very similar reaction the first time I saw Mulholland Drive. I turned to the person sitting and I said, that is the best movie I've ever seen. That was my reaction right after seeing it. I was blown away. But, I didn't get to the story about the trivia. So we're in there, we're standing there, and there's like a moment of silence. And Mike knew that I have a weird memory. If there's like something that I really like, I can remember all the details. I don't have to try. It just kind of happens. I guess it's, I don't know, semi-superpower, I guess. But there's drawbacks to it, but it does happen. So Mike said, in the middle, he just said, Josh, could you recite the speech Cooper gives to Leland when he's dying? So I did it. David Lynch looks over. He hears that. He looks over. I said, okay, I'm just going to do it then. And I did it. And then David Lynch stops, and he looks at me, and he says, what is the first line Pete Martell says in the pilot?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Gone fishing.
Correct. And that's what I said. And then he kind of stops, and he says, and then he asked me, what does Mike say? What's the first thing Mike says when Cooper, he called him Mike, not Gerard. What's the first thing Mike says? Because he was Mike there. What is the first thing Mike says when Cooper, when he enters the morgue in the extended version of the pilot? Does anybody?
Oh, my goodness. It's not about the transformer, is it?
It is.
Oh, it is.
Don't turn on the overheads. The fluorescents don't work.
All right.
I think it's a bad transformer.
Right.
Cooper says we know that. Yep.
Okay.
So I said that, and then when I answered that one right, David Lynch looks shocked. He looks over at Peter Deming, who looks completely shocked. And then that was the last question he asked me.
That is wild.
Yeah.
And you see, because at the time, the perception was that Lynch kept saying, Twin Peaks as a doornail, almost like he let it go and he was on to other things. But this shows me that, no, it was still on his mind.
Oh, yeah. And then I ran into him a few years later. I went to an art show that he was doing. He was doing an art show that had a public opening in Santa Monica, and I went to that. And I got there a little bit early with a friend of mine, and he was there, and we went up and talked to him, and he started asking me more questions. That was many years later.
That's amazing.
So I think that's, anytime I run into David Lynch now, I think he's going to ask me Twin Peaks trivia. Next time will probably be season 3.
Probably.
Yeah, I imagine.
That's some incredible stuff right
So
there.
that's some of my, I have a lot of Mulholland Drive set stories. That's a couple.
Well, you also have...
Maybe I need to do a book someday. Who knows?
Yeah, you have some awesome behind-the-scenes video you shot, like, not of them filming, but of locations of Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
You've been to the Eraserhead stables, right? This is really cool stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I do not live here, so I can't, see
I've
everything
definitely been
in one weekend.
most of my life a David Lynch aficionado, that's for sure, starting very young. When I walked in the room when Twin Peaks was on, episode 2, I walked in on that when I was a kid, and my parents were watching it, and they never in a million years thought of showing this to me, And I walked in, and it just captivated me instantly.
And then when did you start going to the fest again?
94 was my first fest. 93 was the first, fan run fest. And
Right.
the first one I went to was 94.
What was 92 then for the Fire Walk With
That
Me?
was the Fire Walk Me premiere, which was a studio-sponsored event.
But it wasn't a part of a fest.
No, it was just a studio-sponsored event where they had, some festivities and stuff, and then the premiere. And then a couple, Don and Pat Shook, started the fan-run Twin Peaks Festival in 93.
Right.
And that continued through 2019.
Right.
With a lot of different organizers taking over and it changing hands multiple times.
Right.
Throughout the years.
Right. And I've had numerous people on the show, from those fest days.
Oh, okay.
And they just some of these stories are so amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories.
I'm kicking myself that I never went.
Yeah, there were a lot of so many years of festivals, and some of them blend together, but so many great memories and so many cast members. I mean, like Don Davis was a regular at the festivals for many, many years throughout the 90s and early 2000s. Just such a great guy. Anybody that went to any festivals then met Don Davis and knows what I'm talking about. I mean, I regret the one festival I missed was '93, which would have been my only chance to meet Frank Silva and John Boylan.
Hmm.
And but I did get to meet Jack Nance at the '95 festival. So there's
What
that.
was he like?
Incredible, great, nicest person.
Mm-hmm.
He ran up. I remember he met me. I remember he said, I think it was the second day of the festival. He said to me, he said, I've been looking for somebody to give this to. I have something, and I want to give it to you. He runs up to his room. He comes back, and he gives me an issue of Wrapped in Plastic, and he signs it. I'm Paul. What's your name? I'm Pete. Your friend always, Jack Nance.
Wow.
And I still have it. It's a really prized thing. It just almost brought a tear to my eye when he gave it to me, and it still does when I think about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you have not seen that documentary,
Oh yeah, I don't know Jack. Yeah, absolutely.
It is one of the most profound, heartbreaking
Yeah.
Things I've ever seen.
And when I met him, I didn't know any of that stuff. You know,
Right.
what I mean, when I met you, I had no idea about
All I'll say is you'll never look at Meatballs 4 the same way again.
No, you won't. That is for sure. Like, I mean, if I would have known that when I met Jack, that he had just recently gone through that. I mean,
Right.
wow.
Right. People are asking any more news or speculation about anything with Wisteria Unrecorded Night. No, because
Nothing,
there
yeah.
is an actor's strike, a writer's strike. Everything is,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. And
But even if there was, they can't do anything anyway.
yeah, if there is, then it'll wait. If there isn't, there isn't.
Unless David Lynch is going to do something with toothpick characters or something like that.
Yeah, but he's WGA, so
That's
he'd be writing it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, he would be at fault. He probably couldn't even do the weather reports right now.
Probably not, because he's also SAG. He's SAG, WGA, and DGA, but DGA is not striking. But he's SAG and WGA.
Did he get SAG for being in Zelia Me?
Yeah, he would have had to. He probably would have got at least got a Taft-Hartley for that. He probably would have been Taft-Hartley'd on that. Yeah.
Where's the Blu-ray of that movie, by the way? Why isn't Tina Rathborn putting that out?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Like, I have a laser disc of Zelia Me.
Yeah, I do too. I have pictures too.
Right? And Tina Rathborn would go on to do episodes of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, episode 3 and episode 17.
Right. And Jack Nance and his friend came out with the funniest postcard in the world and swore themselves that they would make money selling it. Maybe they never did. I don't know.
I'm trying to details. Yeah, anybody knows the story about Jack Nance? Used to watch Wheel of Fortune. You know that one?
No.
Jack Nance loved to watch Wheel of Fortune, and he thought it was he thought it was hilarious when people had hit the bankrupt.
Oh.
Yeah, he would get a kick out of that. When they hit the bankrupt on the wheel.
Yeah, that's funny stuff.
Yeah.
So, just going back to Mulholland Drive real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi Watts, Justin Theroux, like, how cool were they as people?
Oh, I can't say enough. Naomi Watts, the first time, I was standing there with Mike when we walked in, and they were filming I Told Every Little Star Scene. She was filming a bit where she walks in,
Right.
and then she locks eyes with Adam and runs off.
Right.
So she came up. I was standing there with Mike. She came running over to us, and she says, "Hi, hi, I'm Naomi." And it was like, I mean, I didn't know who Betty Elms was at the time, but it was like meeting Betty. She
Right.
was just,
In
she
character.
was like that.
She was in character?
She may have been in character. She might have been in character the whole time, but she was like that. I mean, just super sweet.
Well, good thing you didn't meet her when she was doing the crying.
Yeah, I wasn't there when they were filming the Diane Sullivan stuff. Later, but no, I think she's just. I think that's just. how she is.
Imagine her doing that scene and then coming up to you. Hi, I'm Diane. It's like,
Yeah.
do I really want? Why don't you put some hand sanitizer on you first?
Yeah, maybe a little bit first. I'm Diane Sullivan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, she didn't introduce herself as Betty. She said, "I'm Naomi." But then I said, "Oh." Then I remember I asked her who she was playing, and she said, "Betty Elms."
All right.
Yep.
Well, she wasn't. She wasn't the other one character yet.
No, not at that point. At that point, yeah. At that point, no.
All right, so I got you on the spot here. Twin Peaks actors. I know you don't want to leave out people, but some of the coolest people you met besides Jack Nance, like that.
Oh, by that you mean most interesting or
Whatever.
people that
Hit us up with some cool people stories.
I mean, it's hard because I mean, 98% of Twin Peaks actors are great people. David Lynch cast by, I'm not going to go into the 2%, but 98% of them are great people. And he cast, by usually talking to people. He doesn't have them read. So he's casting also people he wants to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, a really great cross section and just interesting, smart, funny, intelligent, insightful people.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I'm going to go to some kind of rarer ones, some funny stories about meeting certain actors. Here's an interesting one: meeting Emery Battis.
Mm.
Now, here's an obscure one because it turns out Emery Battis, and this is back in the '90s. I'm trying to remember who it was. Okay, it was another person who had a small role in the scene at One Eye Jacks, who became a friend of mine that was in the scene with Emery Battis. Said, "Oh, you should go down and meet Don Amendolia, who plays Emery Battis. He works at a flower store not far from here." I said, "A flower store? Really?" I thought, "What? Why not?" And this is somewhere in the '90s. So I drove over to the store, and I walk in, and there's Emery Battis behind the counter. So that was just an interesting story of meeting somebody in an unexpected way. There was.
Let me pause you right there. I have to ask you this question. So David Lynch directed the season 2 premiere and the following episode, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In the following episode, Audrey puts the vacuum cord around Battis's neck, right? Who owns One Eye Jacks? Your father does. Your father does, right? But at the end of the second season premiere, she's on the bed praying to Cooper with that lovely music. And she says, my father owns the place. Now, my question to you is this. Because she says to her dad in the second season premiere, "You're the owner?" Right?
Yeah, and he says, "That's right."
Right.
That's how she knows.
That's how she knows. But then why did she need confirmation? Did she just didn't believe it? She needed Battis to confirm it?
I think she just wanted to have him say it to make sure she's telling the truth.
Okay.
Because she says, "I work for the owner of One Eye Jacks." And I think when he says that, I think Audrey's getting angry that he won't say the name, and she says, "Who is?"
Right.
And then he repeats, "I work for the owner of One Eye Jacks," and she says, "Who is?" And he
Right.
says, "Your father." I think she's just mad that Emery is refusing to say it.
Okay, because I was always under the impression then that scene was actually in the second season premiere, and that's how she found out that her dad was the owner. But she already confirmed it at the front.
And also before that, in the season 1 finale, episode 7, Blackie says, "The owner's coming by tonight. He likes to spend some time with all the new girls." And Audrey says, "Who's that?" And she says, "No names, child." Remember?
Right, and that's around the time the Hunchback shows up.
Yeah, that's a little bit later in the same episode. Yes, that's Leslie Lincoln Glatter playing the Hunchback, by the way.
Right, who was like Showtime's darling.
Yes, went on to direct like most of Homeland, but she directed second most amount of episodes after David Lynch. She directed 4 episodes of Twin Peaks.
Do you think Mark
Episode
Frost
5, episode
Do you think
10.
Mark Frost directed any more episodes and just didn't put his name on the credits?
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't. He was at one point going to direct 16. Was potentially scheduled to direct 16.
The Tim Hunter one where Leland dies.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a time when he was scheduled to tentatively do that, and then ended up not doing it. So yeah, Mark Frost ended up just directing 1, but Leslie Lincoln Glatter did 5. She did 10. She did 13.
That was another location you showed me.
And she did 23.
Today in Franklin Canyon was the four men walking down the road and then
doing Tim Hunter. Yes.
Right.
The Reservoir Dogs shot.
Well, it's pre-Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, but it's similar.
Right.
I always call it the Reservoir shot because it kind of looks like that when they're walking in.
Right.
Yeah. But yes, it is pre-Reservoir Dogs.
It's a great shot.
Yeah.
And I think Tim Hunter did a great job with that episode.
I think so too.
I mean, I would love to have seen what Mark Frost would have done with that episode.
I wonder, yeah.
Because his episode's fantastic, the season 1 finale.
And you notice he does a similar thing in that episode, the scene where they do the gathering of the suspects at the roadhouse. And he had the shot on kind of a big crane arm that was going all the way down and then all the way up.
I love it.
Now, you notice he does the same thing in the Miss Twin Peaks Passion, episode 28.
With Annie.
Yep. And then even when they're doing the dance. So he's used a similar technique in those two.
He loves those crane shots.
Yeah, and the slightly cantered angles, because you get that at the end of episode 4, which Tim Hunter did, and also in 16. Kind of the slightly cantered.
What did you say, episode 4?
Yeah, that's Tim Hunter.
Oh, that is?
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought that was... I was still thinking about the
Yeah.
funeral episode.
Yeah, well, funeral episode's 4, counting the pilot as 1.
I understand.
Yeah.
Tim Hunter's a great director.
Yeah, he is.
Fantastic. River's Edge. If you've not seen River's Edge, folks, you'll understand why David Lynch and Mark Frost hired him to do Twin Peaks.
Absolutely. You watch River's Edge, yes.
It is a fantastic movie. Any last comments, questions before we go? Probably be here another 5 minutes so we can knock this out at the hour mark. This has been fun. My voice is completely dry, though, from talking all day long. But
Yes.
we definitely wanted to do this because I said we were going to do a live video tonight. And we were like, oh, we better do this. before.
Yeah, I always tell people when I take them tours, I say, if you can take me here listening incessantly about, and if you want to go on a tour, you're going to hear talk incessantly about David Lynch for like hours on end. If you don't mind that.
How do I keep up with you? Like, do I keep up with you pretty good?
Oh, no, very well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I always tell people, I say, if you get tired of talking about David Lynch and Twin Peaks stuff, you might not want to come along on the tour because, But if you love it, then let's rock.
Frame into focus. He's very into spirituality and David Lynch. So, has you ever talked about anything like that with him?
No.
No.
No. I'd like to, but I've never had long enough conversations to. I've never got into it, but I would hopefully one day I'd love to have that kind of conversation with him because, I have a lot of theories about different spirituality and different ideas in his work that are very present, and oftentimes, even from different cultures, you can see different bits of ideas. And yeah, I can go on for a long time about personal ideas on that for sure.
No, I from what I understand, folks, David Lynch doesn't get people into meditating. He if you're interested in it, great. If not, life goes on.
Yeah, he would. Oh, I didn't even tell the story about the meditation on Mulholland Drive.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Because somebody had asked that question. Yeah, what he would do was on Mulholland Drive. I remember at lunchtime. So Naomi Watts, everybody was there, and I remember saying, "Does David Lynch come to lunch?" And somebody said, "No, that's when he meditates. He's in his trailer. That's when he does his meditation. Because with TM, you do it 20 minutes twice a day." And so since he's busy, filming, he's very busy when he's filming all day. So he takes those breaks to meditate.
You know that he would do that at 5 a.m. on the landings overlooking the Sailor's Lodge and the waterfall during season 3. People would see him out there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Meditating, overlooking the falls.
That's a great place to meditate. That makes sense.
And there's nobody out there at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, that's actually perfect.
Yeah.
Because if he tried to do it during the afternoon, he'd probably be bothered by, 20 people come up to him.
Oh, there were always people in the lobby. Hi, David. Can I get your
really?
autograph? As he's walking to his room.
Yeah, after a long day of filming, he's probably quite exhausted. Those are long days of filming are very tiring.
I did make a joke because across the street from the Roadhouse in the real location of Snoqualmie North Bend, what's the actual areas though?
Fall City?
Fall City. Right across the street is this ice cream hamburger joint.
Yes.
It's really small. It's really small.
Great milkshakes.
And David Lynch apparently was there almost on the daily, grabbing something to snack on.
Which is funny because I've always gotten milkshakes there for years every time I've been up there.
Right.
Love their milkshakes at that place.
And I kind of threw that out there, and of course he knew that. And then he said no, but that's actually mentioned in season 3.
Yes, if you watch in part 9 of the character Ella, who's played by Sky Ferreira.
You know, the one with the itchy armpits.
Right, the big rash.
Right.
She says that she got that she worked across the street at the burger place, which would be, if that's the Roadhouse.
And since they filmed those scenes when they got back to L.A., that meant that David Lynch was still thinking about that place.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he meditates about, folks, is burgers and milkshakes. So, all right, guys. Well, my throat is dry. I don't know about Josh's.
It's getting that way.
But we will be back, and maybe we'll do another one of these tomorrow. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, be sure to follow us on Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. We're on almost all of them. Email us.
I'm not on any of them.
well,
I'm on Facebook, but I never really go on it.
Well, I am, so
I check Messenger.
Email us, and then we'll get that message to Josh here. But Josh, thank you so much for talking with everybody.
My pleasure.
Showing some of the props. Maybe we can show some more stuff tomorrow. I don't know. But we will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful night. It's been a pleasure.
Good
Take
night.
care. Bye-bye.